Welcome to the jewel of the Mojave Desert, where 20 Formula One cars will be racing underneath the Vegas lights. We'll see them soaring up to speeds of 215 miles an hour down the Vegas Strip. Crowds in attendance of nearly 300,000 packing the grandstands as they prepare for an almighty Las Vegas Grand Prix. Average lap time is around 1 minute 33, around 17 corners on the newest track on the Formula One calendar. As we look to how qualifying went yesterday for the starting grid. Charles Leclerc, the Monegasque, with an amazing lap to put himself in pole position. Alongside him on the front row is the Japanese driver Yuki Tsunoda. As we look to the rest of the grid, George Russell and Antonelli third and fourth. Piastri 5th and the 7-time world champion 6th, Max Verstappen 7th and disappointing for Lando Norris in 8th, Albon 9th and Lance Stroll in 10th, Liam Lawson 11th and Fernando Alonso 12th, Isaac Hadjar 13th, Carlos Sainz 14th, Hulkenberg 15th with Behrman alongside him, behind is Doohan and Ocon, and rounding out the field, Pierre Gasly and Gabriel Bortoleto. 13 laps of pure Vegas spirit coming your way under the floodlights. The drivers look towards the 5 red lights as we get the Vegas Grand Prix underway. It's a decent start for Charles Leclerc as he maintains the lead over Yuki Tsunoda. Max Verstappen darts to the inside as he looks to make places, but it's clean sailing for the Monegasque through turn 1, side by side between the Mercedes and the Red Bull just behind. George Russell with the inside line heading through turn 3, looking to get through on Tsunoda. It's all too close. Verstappen's made up 3 places into 4th. Side by side, the Red Bull and the Mercedes as they make their way down in towards the Choco Block section of the track. But George Russell sneaks through on Yuki Tsunoda. Max Verstappen sweeping around the outside of both of them. Contact between the Mercedes and the Red Bulls. Max Verstappen switches back on George Russell. An almighty move from the 4-time consecutive world champion as he flies his way up into 2nd, starting 7th on the grid. It's a beastly performance in the first few sectors for Max Verstappen as his hunt for Charles Leclerc begins now. Up to 2nd, more battling going on further behind. So we have a replay of the start here. We'll get to see Max Verstappen's almighty start. Initially the traction doesn't seem great, but he flies his way to the inside through on Antonelli and Lewis Hamilton. Side by side, bobbles over the curb a little bit, huge bottoming out on the car there, but he sneaks up into 4th before we've even gotten into turn 2, and then he has to stay behind watching the battle of George Russell and Yuki Tsunoda. He's pinned in a little bit. If he was adventurous, typical Max Verstappen style, maybe he could have dive bombed if there was only 1 car there, but there was 2. And then look at this exit. Sweeps around the outside of Yuki Tsunoda. Oh, that was rough from George Russell. The FIA will be looking into that. Huge wobble for the Brit as he just whacks into the side pod of the Dutchman. Possible damage for Max Verstappen. Shooting down the Vegas Strip for the first time in this race. 3 wide between the Ferrari, Mercedes and the Red Bull. Ferrari looking to make double podium places. Hamilton completes the double overtake using all those years of experience in Formula One to carve through on Tsunoda and Russell. He is up to 3rd place. Fighting into turn 1, Oscar Piastri with an adventurous move on the Mercedes of George Russell, who seems to be slipping further and further away. Through turn 2 for Oscar Piastri. Oh, he's slow round there, and George Russell has his nose back in there. Side by side along the straight, DRS for both drivers. Piastri pulls ahead, Norris makes it 3 wide. It's too tight for 3 wide, but they've made it work. Who will come out on top? Piastri looks like he's got the advantage, and he is through. Norris still fighting with George Russell though. Side by side they go through the whole of the first sector, but it looks like the McLarens may have just snubbed the Mercedes. Russell though isn't giving it up, but that car doesn't have the straight line speed prowess that the McLaren does, and George Russell will have to settle for 7th. Change for the lead, possibly incoming here. Max Verstappen looks to the inside of turn 1 on lap 3 here, dives it down the inside of Charles Leclerc, and it is a clean move for the 4-time world champion as he makes his way past his old 2022 championship rival in the early stages, but Charles Leclerc with DRS, that extra horsepower, goes back to the inside of turn 3. Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc side by side, the two different constructors, Ferrari versus Red Bull versus Ferrari, as Verstappen flies it down the inside, chucks it over the curb, no care at all for the well-being of his car, but he is into first, and we have a change for the lead here in Vegas. Here he comes, back at Max Verstappen now, the Ferrari shooting through. That engine is much better than that Honda power in the back of the Red Bull, as Charles Leclerc flies through and is clear of Max Verstappen into the final few turns. Here he comes again, hammer and tong between the top two for the lead. This is an almighty battle, reminiscing of older days in 2022. But Verstappen, with a carbon copy of his move last lap, back up into fourth. He pulls away from Charles Leclerc to break the slipstream. The Williams with some impressive pace, flying through on the two Mercedes cars. Alexander Albon with an unlikely double overtake on Antonelli and Russell, as behind, 3 wide between Sainz, Lawson and Fernando Alonso. It's all very close. Lawson comes out on top, still side by side between Sainz and Alonso. Once again, for the third lap running, we're going to see a change for the lead of the Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc down the Vegas Strip, powers through Max Verstappen and is well clear of him going into this heavy braking zone. But Max Verstappen will have an opportunity if he saved up the battery, if he plays this smart, going into the final corner. Along the start-finish straight, onto lap 6 they head. Max Verstappen all over the back of Charles Leclerc. Have a replay away from the battle that was commencing for the lead of the Grand Prix. It's Oscar Piastri making his way through into third place, but Hamilton with an audacious dive bomb back down the inside of the Australian driver to maintain third. He's not going down without a fight. Verstappen awfully close to the rear wing of Charles Leclerc, as once again the lead changes hands in favour of the Dutch driver, as he is fully clear of the Monegasque. And through this tight-knit section of the track, it should be easy for Verstappen to stay ahead. Charles Leclerc has managed to keep Verstappen on his toes through lap 6, as both of the leaders peel into the pit lane, so their lead is going to get cut away as the 7-time world champion of Lewis Hamilton moves into first. But both the Red Bull and the Ferrari pit crew changed the 4 tyres, softs to mediums for both of the drivers, and it looked a much better pit stop for the Red Bull team, as they have a bit of a gap ahead of Charles Leclerc. But it looks like they're going to come out in the middle of a huge midfield battle just behind Doohan. Max Verstappen's going to come out, and Leclerc even further back. The Australian driver looking to get through on Lewis Hamilton to make his way into fourth. Provisionally third, as Oliver Bearman holds the second place spot, but he is not pitted yet. But it's a great move for Oscar Piastri, and actually Charles Leclerc, I think, has been caught in some traffic very heavily, lost many tenths, and now Oscar Piastri has an opportunity to get into the top 2 of the Grand Prix. So does Hamilton. Oliver Bearman is holding up the Monegasque. Here we have it now, to the detriment of Charles Leclerc. Oscar Piastri is flying his way down the Vegas Strip to get into second. This will be his highest position of the race so far, as he clears Charles Leclerc, but he's going to have 2 hounding, prancing horses right behind him that he will have to attend to. Under pressure is the current championship leader, Oscar Piastri, from both Ferraris. But Hamilton was looking for a move on his teammate, but Charles Leclerc cut him off. Might be some sparks flaring in the Ferrari garage right there, but both of them power through on the McLaren to make it a double Ferrari podium. This monumental battle continues to heaten up as Oscar Piastri looks for it on Lewis Hamilton. These two haven't seen each other much so far this season, but now they have, and Oscar Piastri will look for it on the Monegasque of Charles Leclerc as well, powering through side by side with Lewis Hamilton into the braking zone, onto the start-finish straight. But Lewis Hamilton has got himself into second, and it's a 1-2 for Verstappen and Hamilton. Where have we seen this before? But Hamilton into second. The penultimate run down the Vegas Strip here, shining underneath the floodlights of these three drivers as they fight it out for the podium places, powering past casinos on their left, hotel buildings on their right, as the crowd have been given an ultimate display of fighting from these three. Piastri through on Charles Leclerc as he is back up into second, but the Ferrari coming back at it. Lando Norris finds himself in the fight now for these podium places. It's McLaren versus Ferrari, the two most historic constructors the sport has ever seen. Lando Norris flies it down the inside of Lewis Hamilton on fresher tyres, and he's cleared him. He battled with Leclerc early on in the Grand Prix. An almighty pit stop from Red Bull gave Max Verstappen the opportunity to pull away into first, and he has not looked back. The Dutch Lion roars to victory once again as he wins at Las Vegas. Seeing a replay of this almighty fight, 3 wide between the two McLarens and the Ferrari. There's enough going on in McLaren as it is. How would it be if they came together on the final lap? But it looks safe and sound. Lando Norris is passed out of nowhere. The number 4 driver is fighting the number 44 driver for the 1-2 spots, but Hamilton has the better of Lando Norris and will cross the line second to make it 2 Brits on the podium behind the almighty Verstappen.